Good morning. I'm the leader of the Early Career Investigators Group, a think tank, and this is better now, thank you. I will not give you a summary. I would like to give you a presentation with a double aim to inspire you and to challenge you because we're talking about innovation, about changes, and the way we try to do this in our think tank comes very much similar to the example I'm going to tell you now about, and it might even depict a bit the way this cost action worked. So when we talk about innovation, we usually give it a positive connotation with a whole lot of beautiful words, as you can see on this slide. What we tend to forget is that innovation is an inherent concept of capitalism. Markets need innovation to grow, and only growing markets can keep the capitalistic logic going on. So, you know the consequences this has on childbirth. We have a conference from birth to health. Reality is much more from birth to risk avoidance and from birth to cost minimalization. So, how can we build up innovation in a different logic, not to make markets grow, and how can we go beyond traditional models and methods of research? We have to do this, as Sue showed it in the slide. We cannot resolve old problems with old methods. We need new ones. In traditional research, we usually use top-down models, logical models, binary logics. We have a hierarchy of thought, a hierarchy of predefined steps, how we do research. We get results, and then we have all the well-known difficulties to implement them and to close the gap between evidence and practice, as we all know it very well. So what I'm going to present you now is a different kind of research, a research that's called rhizomatic learning and research. Research and learning are connected, we all know this, and it goes back to Deleuze and Guattari, two thinkers who said reality doesn't work in hierarchical systems, and reality doesn't work in binary thinking. In nature, and this is a rhizome, this is the seed of roots, from hazelnuts and bamboo and other plants. In nature, roots are taproots, and they have multiple lateral and circular systems of ramification. This is the way they grow, this is the way they develop, and this is the way nature and reality is organized. And our thought lags far behind nature and far behind the reality. We want to capture the reality of normal birth. So, as Deleuze and Guattari put it, a rhizome is an image of thought based on the botanical rhizome, and that spreads out its roots, not in a hierarchical, but in a so seemingly chaotical way. Rhizome research means allowing research to go where it leads and to take us where it goes. It's completely different from hierarchical research planning and protocols. So, if this sounds chaotic to you, it's not. It has clear principles underpinning, and I'm going to shortly, as short as possible, explain how these principles are meant. The first is nomadism. This means that the rhizome research is open for relationships, for relation even between concepts and places that have not been linked before. We have heard about this of Working Group 2. We work in assemblages. We approach reality with equality, respect, and presence. This is what they did with the women when they asked them about psychological normal birth. And we focus synthesis, not analysis. Sorry. The next step is something we do in normal research also. We see differences, but in some research we focus on them. We look for them. We look for disruptions, for differences, and we do not look for patterns or homogeneity or things that work out well and smooth. The next two principles, and the first is one that sounds funny and is difficult in reality. We celebrate chaos and creativity, and we adopt our research, especially the research methods, to the chaotic reality we find. A very special assumption is the assumption of affect in some research. We go with it. We do not try to reflect it as in qualitative research. We do not try to control or exclude it as in the hierarchical traditional rational research. We go with it. We want to affect and we want to be affected. And thereby we allow research projects to control us and itself. The last thing is that by doing this, we change. We change our own thinking, we change the subject we research on, and we change it in a non-predictable way. Because as in nature, every multiplicity grows from the middle and cannot grow without changing its nature. Maybe this is a bit much, so I put it simple again in a summary. We try to be open for new interrelations. We go for synthesis, not for analysis. We focus on differences, and we adopt our research methods to reality and not the other way around. And we let us be led by interest, fascination, enthusiasm, and fear sometimes in order to produce change and not to produce results that have to be implemented and that most probably won't. If this sounds chaotic to you, then I understand. If you look to a rhizome from far, it looks like the left-hand side picture, a bit chaotic. But if you go closer, then you see the precise structure and the order every rhizome has. This is what we did, and what I'm going to show you now in the example. We did a training school in Lucerne this February, and this is a title, Innovation Implementation in Practice through Interdisciplinary Research. We had 28 participants from 14 countries and 12 disciplines, grouped in 5 groups with 5 coaches and 5 topics. You see them, it all was about innovation and all was about change and implementation for the better, of course. The rhizome process started, by the way, people had to apply for the training school. Of course, they gave in a proposal, but the proposal looked different. They had to present a vision, an idea of intention, projects were possible but not necessarily required for. Instead, they had, you remember, the deteriorization and the nomadism concept, to write the history of the origin of the idea and some aims they wanted to, by far the visions they had. And we wanted to include affect from the beginning as one of the directions of the research and of the development of the projects. And so every applicant had to send in a photograph or a picture of a place or a moment that inspires him or her. And these are some of these examples. Deteriorization and nomadism also mean you link things that are not linked before. So we had this training school in an art center, in a center for art, culture, and innovation outside in the countryside. And these artists were not just our hosts, they also shaped and co-led our training school. We had a 3-day program. First day was inspiration, second day was elaboration, and the third day was communication. And we tried to always interlink the scientific and the art, and we really conceptualized the whole program step by step on these principles I've told you. I will not tell you how it works, but I will give you an impression of what we did. The first day was dedicated to inspiration by artists, but also by speakers, coaches and guest speakers. How do we create innovation in maternity care? Then the work went on by working groups, of course, inspiration by the group. The community makes the curriculum is one of the very central principles of rhythm research, and this was very much true in training school. And at the end of the Inspiration Day, the exhibition of the inspiration pictures was put up. The second day was a puzzle of examples of successful innovations we gave from all over Europe. And then we went for a walk with the artists. We went to the Green Cathedral, to a naturally built cathedral. And this also was clearly designed, this walk, how it worked, to give the most output possible from a discussion on the way. And the artist, one of the artists, accompanied us with one of his leading books, Spinton's Progress, Walking as a Method of Research. Did you ever think of it? I didn't before. You see here a quote. Do you know what it means to go for a walk? Going for a walk is acquiring the world and celebrating the random. So Spinton's Progress was the book that the artists all used to bring in for inspiration and also to disturb when we went back into hierarchical or defined thinking. So,
Claudia,
the third, one minute. The third day was communication, and at the end, exhibition was the art. So, what were the results? It was more than just 3 nice days. People reported. And amazingly, that's why it's highlighted in yellow, amazingly, they had a clearer thought about what they wanted to do, their clearer methodology. So allowing you to be affected by your affects and by other people and by other ideas gives you more clarity, more ability to research, and all the other outcomes you can read. So it's not meant, yes, this is a statement of one of the participants. What she said, you feel challenged, you feel excitement, talent, and you feel something that is more than just normal hierarchical research. So we still have, we cannot do just some research. Nobody will have a PhD on this, but it helps us to improve our normal research. We can do some research, but we have to translate it still into the academic system. If you think back 10 years ago, participatory research was a new thing. Everybody thought, whoa, this is not scientific. Now, if you go for certain European grants, you have to show how you do participatory work in order to get the money. So I think some research could be the same. We are currently now conducting research on a different topic with 60 researchers. We are going to the second year. It starts today, the second year, and we involve from the beginning also practitioners from the field. So I hope I could a bit seduce you to different types of research. Thank you.